What it do, Bedtime crew? Hey man, listen, today I am here to give you guys my full card predictions for UFC Noche happening this weekend. I'm very disappointed in this card. I was very excited when I saw that the main event was, of course, Diego the Blockhead Lopez versus Gene Silva. But then when I look at the rest of this card, I mean, we've got Rob Font, we've got Jared Gordon, we've got genuinely who the fuck else is on this card? The rest in unfortunate. Kelvin the Blob Gastelum's here. Alexander Hernandez, fuck you. Diego Ferreira. But other than that, there is literally a bunch of fucking nobodies on this card. I don't even feel like doing the bit. It's just depressing. But regardless of that, I think there will be some entertaining fights on this card. Let's get into this. Starting off on the prelims, what do we got? Oh man, we got a couple of fucking NPCs scrapping, dude. Are you fucking kidding me? So the first fight of the night, we've got the tough finale at welterweight between Rodrigo Sezinando and Danili Donchenko. I'm going to be picking Donchenko by knockout inside 2 rounds. I watched both of these guys fight on tough, and I feel like Sezinando, he's very inaccurate on the feet. Like when I watch him fight, he's like swinging these big punches. I didn't see him land one clean punch for the entire first round of the fights that I watched on tough. I feel like he's a guy that builds into a fight later, and I feel like he's going to be super inaccurate on the feet, whereas Donchenko, I would say he's a little bit better in close, good elbows to counter in close and counter pressure, and I think those will do well against Sezinando. So I feel like in the boxing range where this fight is mainly going to be happening, except for like when they run into each other and clinch up, I'm going to say that, you know, Donchenko's the better striker. I would say Sezinando's probably a better grappler. But I feel like most of this will take place on the feet. So I'm going to say that, you know, Sezinando, maybe they have some sort of clinch. He does good to like reverse position, hold him against the fence, but he's not really accurate on the feet. And then in close, Donchenko lands something like a fucking elbow, or, you know, lands a big shot in the pocket, hurts him. I'm gonna say Donchenko wins by TKO inside 2 rounds. I'm gonna say he weathers an early storm of like big meaty fucking hooks that don't land, getting clinched up against the fence. Maybe he gets taken down, but I'll say he builds into the fight. Lands better shots in the pocket and hurts him with like an elbow or a big shot in the pocket. Just a little bit more accurate, a little bit more polished of a striker. Yeah, I'm gonna say Donchenko's gonna win this fight. All right, next fight of the night, we got Montserrat Rendon. I mean, dude, I've been losing sleep thinking about this matchup. I cannot fucking wait to watch Alice Pereira. This is a badass fight, Court. Listen, kid, this is a badass fight. I'm gonna pick Montserrat Rendon, dude. I'm gonna be fucking crafty here, man. I'm gonna pick Montserrat Rendon, dude. All right, I'm gonna shoot you straight here. I'm gonna shoot you straight. Alice Pereira, I could not find really any full fights of hers on YouTube. There was one filmed from a crowd cam. So I feel like the competition that Alice Pereira has been fighting is very questionable at best. I feel like it's a little bit gimmicky, like, oh, we've got a 19-year-old fight. Like, what 19-year-old fighter has come into the UFC and done well straight away with no issues whatsoever, no development period, especially coming in WMMA? Like, the competition that she's been fighting, I've seen 3 or 4 highlights of her, and I feel like Alice Pereira stands up very upright, very tall, has a good 1-2, but I haven't seen her grapple, I haven't seen her cardio, and Rendon has fought in the UFC. She can get scrappy, she has a good chin, she has good cardio, good forward pressure, she's got the fucking Lobo Gym, you know, the Globo Gym blockhead pressure like Diego Lopez. We'll talk about him later. And I feel like she's gonna get in Alice Pereira's face, maybe eat some big 1-2s early on, but I think at some point, you know, Alice Pereira's gonna start making mistakes and get taken down, get clinched up against the fence. Rendon starts to make her miss, counter with little hooks in close. I think Rendon is going to win by unanimous decision, 29-28, maybe a 30-27. I think Alice Pereira might have a moment early on, but then Rendon's going to build momentum as the fight goes on, figure her out, start to land counter shots, you know, drop the calf kicks. But yeah, I'm picking Montserrat Rendon to win this fight by decision. I know she's old, but she's not that bad. She's not that bad, dude. All right, and I don't know anything about Alice Pereira, so I feel like if this was a male fight, I would have the same logic, okay? Speaking of which, this is basically the same fucking thing. Globo Gym Blockhead versus NPC that no one's seen fight before. Alden Coria versus Alessandro Costa. Now, obviously, you guys know I fought Alessandro Costa before. He was a tough fight, man. You know, he did good. He caught me with a couple of big shots. I rocked him, got some takedowns against him. But Alessandro Costa, I'm going to pick him to win this fight. He's very dangerous. He's got really, really, like, damaging calf kicks. And those, I've seen him finish people with them or lead to a finish with the calf kicks. His only losses that I can remember are to fucking Steve Erceg, ranked borderline, you know, future champion of the division, and Amir Alblazo. So not very bad losses. He's young, he's improving, he's taken some time off from his last fight, which I think is good. And Coria, when I've watched him fight a little bit here and there, he is mainly a boxing / wrestling type fighter. He's very offensively, you know, looking to box and then mix up takedowns. So I feel like Costa is going to be able to land very hard calf kicks and make, you know, Coria a little bit uncomfortable on the feet. And I could definitely see him shooting a bad takedown when his leg is hurt and getting guillotined. Or maybe, you know, Costa threatens a submission to end up on top and get a finish. You know, we've seen that he trains with Diego Lopez and all of those guys. So I do think he's going to have a jiu-jitsu advantage. I think he's going to have a power advantage on the feet, and the calf kicks for me are a big factor, and he is just dangerous and well-rounded. So I'm going to say Costa wins by submission or by ground and pound TKO. I definitely think it's going to involve countering the wrestling of Coria with a submission attempt and, you know, hurting him on the feet with big hooks, big overhands, calf kicks, really doing the damage. So yeah, I'm going to say Costa wins by finish inside 2 rounds. I'm going to say round 2. Round 2 submission with a guillotine, or, you know, jumps the gilly, rolls over, ends up on top, gets a ground and pound finish. I'm going to say Costa wins that fight. All right, man. Next fight of the night, we got Zach Reese. Stone-colded Zach Reese versus Boon Gang. Why the fuck is this in Mexico, dude? What the fuck is the point of this? Why are we sending these guys to Mexico, dude? Listen, I'm not going to talk about anything outside of the fight. I think Zach Reese is more on the UFC level. I think he's more prepared for this fight. I think Zach Reese is going to win by knockout. Dumas literally got colded by a fucking wrist upside the head. Against Mikhail Olajaychuk, this guy got fucking slept with a wrist upside the head. What the fuck are you doing, man? And it's not a bad loss to lose to Olajaychuk, but or you know, Sultan Ruziboyev. These are not bad losses, but it's just more the way that he loses. I feel like his defense is just not good. And Zach Reese is not that good either, but I think he's a little bit more polished on the feet. And I really feel like he's going to figure out Dumas's defense pretty easily. He has a nice lead uppercut that he does well. When he throws the overhand, if you duck your head, he'll land nicely. Lead uppercut, he's got some knockouts with it. Zach Reese is able to go the distance pretty well. Solid grappling, big power on the feet. Probably a little bit more power than Dumas. Yeah, I'm going to say Reese is just a little bit more well-rounded, just a little bit better. And I think he's going to counterpunch Cedricus Dumas or just pressure him back and land something big. I'm going to say Reese wins by KO inside 2 rounds, okay? Next fight of the night, we got Jesus Aguilar versus Luis Gurule. I'm going to pick fucking Jesus Aguilar, dude. If you guys remember UFC 305, where I was glazing the fuck out of Stuart Nickel because I've seen him fight before, and I'm like, dude, Stuart Nickel, man, this guy's a beast, dude. And I do rate him. I actually think he's quite good, okay? And that has nothing to do with the fact that I've met him a couple of times, okay? I think Jesus Aguilar has proven that if you are not a, you know, big name, like ranked level or super high level flyweight, he's gonna fucking beat you, dude. Like, he was on a big win streak before his last fight where he lost to Rafael Estevam, who is undefeated. Before that, his only loss was to Tatsuro Taira in the UFC. Not a bad loss at all whatsoever. I feel like he's a level above Luis Gurule. This guy lost to Ode Osborne. I beat Ode Osborne. That's all there is to say. I think that Gurule has decent power on the feet, but he's pretty high output. And he doesn't really worry about defense. Like, he's just a little bowl of muscle trying to get you. So I feel like he's going to overextend and get hurt by Aguilar, who is sharp, really dangerous on the feet, big power. I think Aguilar's going to rock him or drop him and then latch up a guillotine or latch up a submission. I could see this being a knockout or a submission for Jesus Aguilar. I'm going to say he finishes Luis Gurule round 2. Drops him, then latches up a sub. I think that's what it's going to be. Because one thing with these Mexico cards is all the Mexicans are like flyweights and bantamweights and strawweights. Let's just be fucking real here, dude. All of them are literally midgets, so I feel like going knockout, knockout, knockout. I see a knockout happening in the Reese fight, but I feel like this fight has a good chance to be a submission, so I'm going to say Jesus Aguilar locks up that nasty guillotine that he caught my boy Stuart Nickel with. Yeah, I'm going to say Jesus Aguilar wins this fight. All right, dude. Next fight of the night, we got Tatiana Brian Ortega 2.0 Suarez versus Amanda Lemos. Dude, you guys probably wondering who I'm picking, dude. I'm glad you asked, man. I'm picking Tatiana Suarez, dude. I am picking Tatiana Suarez. I do not rate Amanda Lemos. Bro is nearly 40 years old. Amanda Lemos is literally the female Cheeto Vera. I don't give a fuck, dude. I will never pick Amanda Lemos confidently to beat anybody because Amanda Lemos genuinely has an overhand and a submission. Like, she'll jump a random submission, okay? Tatiana Suarez is going to manhandle her in the wrestling. I think that Suarez does have a good chin. We've seen her, get hit a lot in the Weili Zhang fight. She did better against Weili Zhang. And I think against Lemos, there's not going to be that level of striking or physicality that was there when she fought Weili Zhang. She has a reach advantage. She has a height advantage. She's going to be bigger than Lemos. She's fought at fucking flyweight before. I think Tatiana Suarez is going to physically manhandle Amanda Lemos. She's going to force the clinch early. She's going to get takedowns from that body lock trip up against the fence. I think she's going to land good elbows, make Lemos give up her neck. And I think she's either going to get a rear naked choke, or I can see a head and arm choke as well. I can see her just flattening Lemos. Lemos just trying to be patient and getting the arm pushed over to the other side, getting trapped with the head and arm choke and tapping out. So I think that Tatiana Suarez has a big advantage in the size, in the grappling. I think her chin can handle a couple of shots from Amanda fucking Bronson 2.0 Lemos. And I also think that Lemos, this is another reason I'm going to pick Suarez to out-grapple her and to beat her. Because Lemos, does she have submissions? Yes. Is she dangerous? Yes. But Lemos is the type of fighter that if she gets taken down, she will try and throw up a submission as opposed to getting back up. She does not try to get back up. She's trying to just fluke a sub off her back. And I feel like against Tatiana Suarez, if your game plan is, I'm just going to grapple with you the whole time off my back, you're probably going to fucking lose. So, and honestly, I feel like even if she defends the takedown well, I could see this motherfucker jumping a guillotine and getting taken down. So I'm going to say Tatiana Suarez wins this fight by submission. Again, I feel like Lemos could give up her back trying to get up, get caught in a rear naked choke. I feel like Suarez could flatten her out and get a fucking head and arm choke. I'm going to say Tatiana Suarez is back. She's going to win by submission inside 2 rounds, dude. Okay. Next fight on the prelims, we've got Claudio Puelles versus Joaquim Silva. I'm going to say a phrase that not many humans have said since UFC 281. I'm going to say this. I'm going to pick Claudio Puelles to win a fight. I know that sounds blasphemous after the fight that this guy fucking had against Dan Hooker, but hear me out, bro. Joaquim Silva is dangerous on the feet, but when he loses, it is via being out-grappled, right? It is being controlled, it's getting mounted, it's getting hit with ground and pound, it's getting, just not being able to shake people off him and just being stuck in the grappling exchanges and just getting mogged because he is a short little lightweight. He's a stocky little lightweight, but he has midget arms. He has big power on the feet, but outside of that, he does kind of get out-grappled when he loses. And I feel like Claudio Puelles, even though, yes, he had that fight against Dan Hooker where he was looking like fucking prime Ryan Hall out there, he genuinely does have good grappling. He genuinely can fucking grapple. And even off his back, he does a good job of tying people up and making them grapple with him. And I think that is the weakness of Joaquim Silva is I can see Puelles getting a quick takedown, but then Joaquim Silva reverses position and ends up on top. But then immediately, like we saw against Fares Ziem, which is not a bad loss at all. It's a split decision loss to Fares Ziem, which is pretty fucking, aging quite well. Claudio Puelles will tie you up with an omoplata, with a leg lock attempt, with, the full guard and start threatening submissions, cause damage off his back with little punches, little elbows, reverse position. And I think against Silva, who he has a speed and size advantage over, especially in the grappling, I think he will be able to threaten submissions to get sweeps and end up on top, do damage off his back, end up on top, threaten submissions, just do more than Silva. Like, Silva will be looking for ground and pound and slams, but I don't think he's going to be able to disengage from the grappling. And I think that Puelles being so good at tangling people up makes you stay in the grappling with him. And I think it's going to be a very weird, probably most likely a decision type fight where Puelles has more sub attempts get some sweeps, land some good punches off his back. Joaquim Silva's, trying to be patient with Puelles tangled up in his leg, trying to land some hammer fists, but he's just not doing enough. And ends up getting his back taken, or, ends up getting swept, put on bottom, trying to scramble up. Puelles is just threatening submissions, just flowing, just making this a grappling fight, taking away the power of, Joaquim Silva, okay? I'm picking Claudio Puelles to win this fight by decision, okay? Headlining the prelims. And oh my god, bro. What the fuck is this, dude? What the fuck is this doing headlining the prelim? We got Jose the Blob Medina, no UFC wins, versus Dusko Todorovic, 1 UFC win. Headlining the not just, oh my god, what is this doing in the UFC? Both of these guys arguably shouldn't be in the UFC. This is not only in the UFC, this is on the fucking headliner of the prelims on ESPN. People's fucking tios and aunties, I don't know what the Mexican word is for auntie, but, hola, ¿cómo estás? I speak a little bit of Spanish. But people are going to be tuning in with sipping fucking Modelo's, eating pupusas, and seeing Dusko Todorovic on the fucking headliner of the prelims. I'm picking Dusko Todorovic. I'm picking this fucking egghead to win this fight because Jesse the Blob Medina, I don't know who this guy knows at the UFC, loses on Contender Series, gets signed anyways. Shows up in the UFC, gets absolutely destroyed in both of his fights, does absolutely nothing of consequence in any of these fights. Completely destroyed by Zach Reese. Completely destroyed by Atiba Gauthier. No offense whatsoever. Literally just emoting, being chubby, smiling at range, built like fucking, Theodore from Alvin and the Chipmunks. And I think that Todorovic has proven he actually does have offense in his fight. I'm almost insulted that I have to break down this fight. But at least Todorovic, I can remember, he actually did knock that one guy out. Yeah, he did actually land that punch in that one fight. I swear to God on everything I love, take my kids today. I've never seen Jesse Medina land a punch in a UFC fight. I don't know what he's doing here. He's not winning. I'm going to say Todorovic wins this by decision because Medina is tough, and that is literally the only thing you can say about him positive. I'm going to say that Dusko Todorovic wins this fight. If Jesse Medina wins this fight, holy fuck. Just give it up, bro. Just go ahead and apply to Best Buy or something, dude. So my picks for the prelims, I've got Medina. Never mind, I've got Todorovic. I've got Claudio Puelles. I've got Tatiana Suarez. I've got Jesus Aguilar. I got Zachary Reese, Costa, Rendon, and Donchenko, okay? Just a barn-burning set of prelims. Why is this on at 5 in the morning? Anyways, let's move on. Opening up the main card, a bunch of randoms again. We've got Santiago Luna versus Lee Quang. Dude, I'll just pick Lee Quang by decision. I'll pick Lee Quang by decision. I think he's going to out-grapple this Luna guy. Luna has power. I think he'll rock Lee Quang early on, and then I think he'll have a little bit of an adrenaline dump. He has a good right hand over the top, and we've seen Lee Quang get caught with that in his last UFC loss to, I believe it was Zhao Long, because I'm a hardcore. But Lee Quang, he looked good against Gaston Bolaños. I think that's a pretty decent win. Got the rear naked choke, put him out cold. So I think that Lee Quang is going to have a rough first round and then win this fight by decision. Winning round 2 and 3. I feel like a lot of these cards, it's either all the Mexicans win or none of them win. And I don't know. When you're having fun in the UFC and you don't have a picture on Google, it's very hard for me to pick you. But yeah, I'll pick Lee Quang, but I'm not super confident. I don't rate him that highly, okay? Next fight of the night, we've got Alexander Hernandez versus Diego Ferreira. Alexander Hernandez, your time has come. There's no way out of this one. I'm going to say Diego Ferreira wins this by 29-28 decision. I think this will actually be a close fight. Early on, I think Hernandez is going to be sharp. I do think in round 1, Alexander Hernandez is going to hurt Diego Ferreira. I could see a left hook. I could see a right hand over the top. He has good takedown defense initially, but when you chain takedowns and once you start controlling him, he does slow down. And I think Diego Ferreira is crafty enough, tough enough, and really powerful and kind of sharp on the feet. Very underrated with his kicks. He has good calf kicks, good body kicks, and his grappling is very high level as well. I feel like this fight will be Hernandez wins early, then they start grappling a little bit because Diego Ferreira's hurt. He builds his way back into it. They start to get scrambly. Ferreira starts to take over, starts to land big shots on the feet, big front kicks to the body. Hernandez is kind of slowing down, doing his tired little jog away. And I think that Diego Ferreira is going to win by decision. But when you're dealing with Hernandez against these old guys, there's literally nothing stopping the judges from giving this to Hernandez by split decision. I do think it'll be a close fight. I think that Hernandez early on, like I said, will be sharp. He'll be quick. He'll have a little bit of that size and physicality advantage. He'll do a good job defending takedowns early. But once Diego Ferreira builds into the fight and he chains his takedowns and makes, scrambles happen, I do think Hernandez will slow down. And I think Ferreira will do a good job touching the body, using calf kicks, landing overhands, mixing in his grappling and his clinch game. And I think he's going to win a close decision, 29-28. Yeah, very close fight though. Hernandez does have some good momentum. I was considering picking him, but I'll say Diego Ferreira still has it. Like he's, it's not bad losses that he has. So I'll say Diego Ferreira wins this fight by decision. Okay. Next fight of the night, we've got Kelvin the Blob Gastelum, the Fridge himself, versus Dustin Stoltzfus. I'm picking Kelvin Gastelum by decision. I could see maybe a submission or a ground and pound TKO. I definitely think he has a big advantage in the wrestling, but when he wins, it's usually by decision at this point. I cannot remember the last time Gastelum had somebody hurt or, had a submission attempt. I feel like he just does enough to win so that the UFC can't cut him for literally just being paid to eat tacos and miss weight all fucking day. So I think that Gastelum at 185, he's going to have a big skill advantage. And one thing I will say for Dustin Stoltzfus is he is very light on his lead leg, which I think will help him because Kelvin Gastelum does really well with his calf kicks. I feel like that won him his fight against Chris Curtis. So I think that Dustin Stoltzfus will avoid those calf kicks pretty well. But I also think he's going to bite really heavy on those feints for the legs. I think he's going to be worried about it and the wrestling. And I can see Gastelum feinting level changes, landing big punches up top. Maybe he drops Stoltzfus, fakes a level change, lands a big shot. And I think that overall, I think Gastelum's just going to be better than Stoltzfus. I think he's going to have a better read on range and using his jab or his big body kicks and then mixing up takedowns when Stoltzfus opens up. And I think that once he gets takedowns, he is going to blob on Stoltzfus. He's going to just lay on him, trap him in half guard, land some little elbows, get back control. And I think that if Stoltzfus tries to roll for submissions or tries to explode to get up to his feet, I think Gastelum's just going to pancake him and just lay on him, land some big punches. Out in the open, like I said, I feel like the threat of the level change will set up good leg kicks, and then that will set up head kicks, good shots down the middle, and then takedown attempts for Gastelum. So I think Gastelum will have a pretty good performance. I'm going to say a 30-27, maybe a 30-26 if he gets off ground and pound really well, but I'll say he wins this fight by decision pretty clearly. I feel like this is kind of a layup matchup for him, so I'm going to say Kelvin Gastelum wins this by decision, okay? Featured fight of the fucking night is Rafa Garcia, dude. I hate to let the UFC know this in case they don't know, but I promise you, not a single soul is like, bro, I can't wait for this Rafa Garcia fight, dude. Dude, I'm literally losing sleep excited about this Rafa Garcia fight, man. You gotta do better with these Noche cards, man. The only saving grace of this is that I do believe it is put earlier in the day so that you can go straight into Canelo versus Crawford, which I am very excited about. I still don't know who I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna fence sit that for sure. But come on, man. This is the fucking featured fight of Noche. Last year, there was a fucking title fight in the Sphere. This year, it's Rafa Garcia, Jared Gordon featured fight. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? What is with this fucking card? That being said, I'm picking Jared Gordon to win this fight. Rafa Garcia is not winning this fight. Garcia literally beats the jobbers of the lightweight division. And he beats them by 29-28 decision. He beats Clay Guida 29-28 decision. He beats fucking Vince Pichel by borderline robbery decision. Jared Gordon, when he loses, it is by robbery decision or brutal finish, but it's not to jobbers. It is to good level guys that are ranked material or just outside the rankings. And he arguably beat Nasrat Haqparast. A lot of people thought he beat Paddy, but mate, that wasn't close, lads. That wasn't fucking close, lads. You know what I mean? Fucking aula, Jared, you are fucking soft, lads. But regardless of that, talking about this matchup, I think that Jared Gordon has a power advantage. I think he's a better boxer in close. I think his grappling is really high level, pretty solid, like ability to defend takedowns, get takedowns, scramble, get control. I think he's just a slightly worse version of Grant Dawson. That's what I would say for Jared Gordon. He's a slightly worse, older version of Grant Dawson. A little bit more power on the feet, a little bit more tricky in the boxing, but a little bit slower on the feet as well. So I will say that in this fight, I think he's just going to overpower Garcia. I think he's going to mix things up, slow him down, land good shots in close when they clinch up, you know, land some good shots that kind of hurt him, maybe force Garcia to shoot some bad takedowns. And I think that Jared Gordon's going to build as this fight goes on and get a TKO. Round 2, round 3, I could see maybe ground and pound TKO, or he hurts him in close, follows up, pours it on, gets a TKO. Late round 2, round 3, I'm going to say Garcia gets finished. Yeah, I'm picking Jared Gordon to win that fight, pretty sure. Co-main event of the evening, dude. Dude, imagine not picking fucking David Martinez, dude. Dude, you're not picking Martinez, dude. You're fucking casual, man. Yes, unfortunately, I'm going to be a casual here. I'm going to pick Rob Font over the guy with one UFC fight. I feel like Rob Font is just too crafty and just too experienced to lose to fucking David Martinez. But it is a very Rob Font thing to do, to randomly, you know, beat some decent guys like Gene Matsumoto and Kyler Phillips and then lose to David Martinez. That is a very Rob Font thing to do. But I'm going to pick Rob Font to win this by decision. He's improved a little bit. He knows exactly what he is and what he isn't in this division. He is one of the best gatekeepers right now at 135. This is a short notice replacement. Martinez was not prepared to fight Rob Font. Rob Font has been prepping to fight this entire time since the card got announced, basically. I think he's going to lose the first round. Maybe he still edges out the first round, pause. And then I think round 2 and 3, he's going to win this fight. I just feel like David Martinez, yes, he is dangerous. He has good leg kicks, good body kicks, good head kicks. He made a really good read in his debut against Simon Oliveira, countered him with a big right hand, followed up with a knee in close. But I feel like Rob Font is going to unleash a fucking crafty 29-28 on this dude. I feel like Rob Font is just way too experienced to not make reads like... Here's some that I saw when David Martinez was fighting his debut. The takedowns are there. The way that David Martinez fights is he stands in front of you menacingly, then he yells, ho, ho, and throws a big kick or throws a big punch. And I feel like Rob Font is going to make reads on that and tie him up with takedown attempts, maybe clinch up, counter the punches, counter the kicks with right hands down the middle or with jabs down the middle. And I think that Rob Font is going to make those kind of veteran reads with the experience and the high level pressure that he's already dealt with in his career. I also feel like, you know, having a big reach advantage is going to help with that as well. And one thing as well with David Martinez is, you know, even if early on I could see him rocking Rob Font with like a head kick or a big right hand or an uppercut or something like that, I think Rob Font has proven that he is extremely tough. If he gets rocked, he can survive, and I feel like David Martinez might empty the tank if he rocks Rob Font. And then in round 2 and 3, I think we've seen Rob Font on a run lately of figuring out these prospects as they build, you know, winning round 2 and 3, you know, mixing things up to the body, clinching them up, extending the fight if it goes bad for him, doing just enough to win on the judges' scorecard. So I feel like Rob Font is going to do something similar in this fight where maybe he gets rocked early on, but then starts to figure out Martinez, starts to land his jab, starts to land the right hand as a counter to those leg kicks, maybe catches the kick, starts getting takedowns, even if it's just for a couple of seconds and then Martinez is forced to get back up. I think Rob Font is going to do little crafty things like that. You know, fake some glove touches, land some shots like he was doing against Matsumoto. Just crafty veteran shit and mix in clinch attempts, mix in takedown attempts, feint the takedowns, land some good shots. I think he's going to piece up Martinez in round 2 and 3 and win a close decision. I'm going to say Rob Font 29-28. One judge has it 30-27. Maybe a random Mexican judge tries to give it to Martinez by split decision, but I'm going to say Rob Font does win this one on the judges' scorecards. Main event, great fight. I cannot fucking wait to see this. Diego Lopez versus Gene Silva. And I feel like I almost want to thank, if I'm Gene Silva, I almost want to thank Baraglio and Rufy for losing at UFC Paris and making people start to be like, dude, the fighting nerds are cooked, man. The fighting nerds are done. It's over, bro. Gene Silva's going to knock out Diego Lopez. Gene Silva is going to beat Diego Lopez. Gene Silva is the best fighting nerd, and Diego Lopez is not as good as Nassourdine Imavov. I think that Benoit Saint-Denis beating Rufi, that's kind of a bad look. But Gene Silva, I think, is higher level. We've seen him deal with grappling. We've seen him deal with 3-round high-paced fights. We've seen him deal with, people with big power, people at 155 like Drew Dober. We've seen him deal with taller guys, shorter guys. I just think Gene Silva is better than all the other fighting nerds. And I feel like Lopez is very, readable on the feet. He doesn't have good footwork. He can't cut you off. He doesn't really wrestle. He's super aggressive and dangerous, but he doesn't move his head at all. And him getting rocked by Volk and Movsar Evloev, I think Gene Silva's going to be able to do the same, but better. Lopez is super powerful. He's super aggressive. He has good submissions off his back. He has improved his takedown defense and his cardio, as we saw in the Volk fight. But like I said, he doesn't move his head at all. He relies on his chin. If that was someone chinnier fighting Volk, they would have got finished in that fight. And in this fight, I feel like he's at a speed, striking, footwork, probably a wrestling and physicality disadvantage as well. He is a bit bigger than Gene Silva, but Gene Silva's like wide and muscular. And honestly, one thing about Gene Silva as well is I feel like he fatigues people with his pressure. Like you saw Charles Jourdain and Bryce Mitchell and even Drew Dober. They look tired from dealing with this guy, with his fucking emotes and his hoo, 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 and just all his shit throughout the fight. And the fact that if you try and take him down, he's jumping on a guillotine straight away. If you tie up with him, boom, he's shucking you off. He's smiling at you. He's landing big punches. He's touching you to the body. He's making you miss. And I feel like you are constantly worried about the power of Gene Silva, and it does fatigue people. And we've seen that he can get up from takedowns and threaten submission attempts quickly in scrambling situations. And the thing with Lopez is he's not even the type of guy to shoot a takedown. He's way more comfortable either you shoot a takedown and he jumps a submission, or he rocks you and then he jumps on a submission. I don't see that happening against Gene Silva. I think early on he will land some good calf kicks. I think that will be there for him against Silva because Silva doesn't really check kicks. He just kind of lets it happen. But I think Silva will start to make him miss with the hands, start to counter with left hooks in the pocket, And I think when they clinch up in the striking, this is where Gene Silva is going to be extremely dangerous because we know that Lopez likes to clinch, look for those body shots and those uppercuts, sometimes jumps full guard from there. Doesn't really do it that much anymore, but it's still something he might try if he's getting outstruck. I think in that pocket area, Gene Silva is super powerful and super dangerous. Fuck, that was a bad voice crack. Fuck you. I have to restart the whole... I don't give a fuck, dude. Whatever, dude. In those spots, I think Gene Silva is more dangerous than Diego Lopez. I think that in the pocket, we are going to see Gene Silva blast Diego Lopez with fucking elbows, with punches in close, that damage him, that hurt him. And as the fight goes between mid-round 1 and into round 2, I think Silva will really start to read Diego Lopez and make him follow him into big punches. Because we know Lopez just follows you. He doesn't cut you off. I really don't see him... especially in this matchup where he doesn't like Gene Silva, I don't see him fighting more technical, trying to improve that footwork enough to beat someone like Gene Silva. I think he'll make a little bit of adjustments in that regard, but I still feel like he's going to get caught following Gene Silva, overextending, not moving his head, and I think he's going to get caught with the check left hook, or the right hand ducking under the hooks of Lopez. Gene Silva lands that overhand over the top like Volk. Elbows as he crashes in. I feel like those are really going to be the biggest weapon for Gene Silva, is the elbows. And even on the back foot, I feel like Silva's going to push him back and land head kicks, land overhands, mix things up to the body. And I think Silva just hits harder than Volk. So I'm going to say that Diego Lopez toughs out being outright knocked out, like slept out cold or anything like that. But I feel like he's going to get dropped bad or wobbled really badly with an elbow or a left hook in close. And I think we could see a doctor stoppage TKO for Gene Silva. I could really see an elbow that just ruins Diego Lopez and just the doctor stops it and Lopez is like crashing out, you know what I mean? I could see him getting rocked really, really bad in close with a check hook, then an elbow after it. I feel like those two weapons are going to be the finishing moves of Gene Silva against Diego Lopez, who is aggressive, but again, defensively very there to be hit, relies on his chin and his toughness, constantly trying to pressure you, look for those calf kicks. But yeah, I think that Gene Silva's going to avoid the grappling of Lopez, and I think he's just going to fucking piece him up on the feet and hurt him really bad, damage him with elbows, and get a round 2 TKO. Either he rocks him really bad and follows up and the ref steps in and Lopez is kind of standing there, but he's fucked, or doctor's stoppage in between round 2 and 3. I'm picking Gene Silva to win this fight by knockout, but hey, let me know your predictions in the comments down below. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like. If you comment anything about the voice crack, I will be upping the switch on you. Make sure that I will be signing you up for 5 years of military service. I will be IP grabbing you and signing you up for military service if you mention it. But if you guys enjoyed the video, otherwise, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing the Inside Jokes tier list this fucking week. I promise you that. And we'll be doing a UFC Noche recap video when the card is over. So stay tuned for all of that. Go follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Bedtime MMA. And I will see you guys in the next video, man. Goodbye.